everybody. This is Grace. And I really have always wanted to start making lighter topics. And that one that I was going to do about the memoirs, I made one and it just seemed too something. But I might put it up. I still have it on my phone. But in this one, I want to do something about light, something that's funny in a way and not funny in a way, I guess. But I did a video on my original channel on this kind of topic one time about how some people who may experience or have been diagnosed or things that they are, avoidant personality disorder or just avoidant behaviors, I guess, and or they just don't feel like they fit in with anybody. And I have experienced this. I definitely have experienced it for a long while now. But I guess I didn't dig deep enough into all of it to really think about one particular thing. And, that video, I had part of the title was The Ugly Duckling. Okay, I put Ugly Duckling Syndrome or something. I don't know if I put syndrome, but, but there's no syndrome like that. But you see what I'm saying. Don't you hate it when somebody has the light and they're supposed to turn, they're closest to it to turn, and they won't turn, and you're trying to turn, you're out in the middle of the road? That's what just happened. But anyway, real life does happen, even during videos. But, the Ugly Duckling story, you know how it goes. I had forgotten at one point in my life, at my age, what was the ending of the story, but yeah. And, well, one of the things is I have felt like that. I went through a stage of feeling that way. I don't know how, maybe my late 40s. And, I didn't remember the end of the story and how good it turns out. Well, anyway, every once in a while I feel this way. I just don't fit in, like on YouTube. I don't really fit in with anybody. I don't think so. And that's how I kept feeling that, I don't know, because like a lot of people, they politicize things and they have a certain ideology or, politically based. Like, and I'm none of these. I don't even like to claim independent because it sounds like another party. I don't do party. And so my thoughts really are independent. And I don't, I lean more toward the liberal side of it. But I can also, certain things I think in a more conservative way. But mainly more liberal, more democratic. But it's hard to find, people or with the same kind, I don't like to say this way because it sounds elitist, the same level of education or a similar level of education might be hard because I was a career student. But and a lot of the ways I just think about things and the things I want to talk about, I don't really fit in, and I know this. I've been on YouTube, started watching videos 5 years ago, somewhere around that. These kinds of videos, different kinds of videos. I started making them on my original channel 4.5 years ago, and then I recently come to this one again. But yeah. Okay, now one of the things that I really didn't, basically kind of think about, that's coming up, is, I know this. I know I don't fit in. Well, today, I fell asleep while watching. I just watched a few people that I somewhat agree with them, and these are two different types of people. Very, very different. I think they're both in their 40s, and very different views on a lot of things. But I still kind of like their views. Some of their thoughts, some of them I don't, because too much becomes about money. I don't like people who get all greedy and, but they might have some good thoughts, but when they turn it around, it's all about money. No, I don't like that. So I fell asleep while watching, the second one, the second person. And I had this crazy dream. It was, it was a nap in the middle of the day. And the dream was basically, it had two guys who were they might have been in their 30s, maybe 40. And they were nerds. Okay, nerds. That dirty four-letter word, nerd. But I remember when geek was a four-letter word, dirty four-letter word too. I was one of those. Yeah. I was always considered a brainiac in school. And yeah. So that was a dream I had, and they wanted to use my tablet to play some kind of a game, and some other nerd took it, and they came running over to me and saying, wherever this place we were, they ran over to me saying, he's about to hit that level, and we don't want him to hit that level and mess it up for the rest of us. And I just kind of went, okay. Went over to the guy, said, I want my tablet back. Not tablet, but my iPad back. And, that's when I woke up. But the thoughts that were coming around, during the dream was basically that, okay, here it is. This is what I am, a member of, the nerds. Okay, yeah. I am. And it was actually, what was funny, because I was older than all, and I kind of was running whatever was going on. The dream never got into what was going on there. But it was that I was the leader of the nerds. Yeah. Thing that that was basically kind of the thing I had forgotten about is, I don't like the word nerd at all. I remember one time, one of my sisters, she and I kind of worked together in, different jobs and everything. So we got older. They were a little bit professional jobs, kind of, sort of. And she's younger. And I was going to get this other job, and I was told her, I don't know what I had told her, what was my worry or concern or whatever, I don't remember. But her response was, well, just sit quietly in the corner, be the nerd sitting quietly in the corner, or something like that you do well. Okay. I've never liked that word nerd, like I said. But in a way, it does for me. Brainiac, I was called that. That is a little more PC, But yeah, but there's more to that. And I'll tell it when I get back out of the store. I would be doing that, right. Anyway. So what I really forgot about was sometime, I think it was something like in 1990 until around, I don't know, 2001 or somewhere, maybe even later than that. I was a member of a group. And at some point during those times, it was a huge group of geeks. Back then, geek was that dirty four-letter word I mentioned. And we called people, we were people that, like I did, hooked my computer to somebody else's before the World Wide Web, before it was anything like it is now. One of those. And we were thought of as bad. The dirty four-letter word, geek. And this group had hundreds of people, okay? And a lot of it was online, but it was also face-to-face. We had parties, get-togethers, picnics, whomever came did. They had personal parties, everything. Hundreds of people. And I thought it was so high schoolish, so very, that I was the one they chose as, like when you're in high school, you have a prom king and prom queen. I was the prom queen. Okay, so I'm serious. I'm like, I am the queen of the geeks. The prom queen of the geeks. Okay. This went on for years. I don't know when it started, but the whole thing was that if I, they were always having parties and get-togethers and, dinners and stuff like this. And if I actually showed up, that made it cool. I am serious. I'm not saying all that to brag about myself. It was to me still now. It's funny. So then I had this dream, that I'm the leader of the geeks. I don't know of any geeks, not too many, maybe one or two, maybe more on YouTube. But I'm no leader. But you see what I'm saying? It was just so funny, because I was just telling Adam about that yesterday, that I still don't see anywhere I fit in. What would be the group? Just yesterday, and then that happened. But I'm telling you, when you feel like you don't fit in, and it starts to really bother you, maybe the brain isn't, this is just me, I'm just saying about me. I can't tell anybody else, can't diagnose you, anything like that. But yeah, it can make you feel really down, and I'd go through stages of feeling down, because I never really felt, I was the black sheep, in the family, and the black sheep in a lot of things. And, when people pointed it out, I said, thank you. And I also developed a sense of humor. But speaking of the sense of humor, in that group that of hundreds of people, and like I said, a lot of it was online, but a lot of it was face-to-face. Back then, my sense of humor was a bit dry, like it is now, and it was more what you would call witty. Okay, just that's what they call me, that I'm so witty. And they would come up to me like any of those, and they'd say something just to see what would be my response, and that was witty. And they just pop out something, and I'd come up with something. That was back then. But these days I know I giggle a lot, but I think that is the core of my personality, is kind of cheerful. Even though I've faced a lot of bad, I think that my personality, like I said, is more cheerful. If somebody actually, I don't remember how it came up, but that I'm the cheerleader type. I'm not a cheerleader type. It's as in cheering people up, kind of, yay, go, this stuff. Not so much, really. I don't think so. But anyway, I'm just now passing the place that when I woke up I started thinking about, and it's a college where I taught, actually, years ago. And the library there, they've built on since I've taught there. And when I woke up, I was thinking, I need to start hanging out in the library. Maybe this was the place where I was in my dream. I couldn't tell. Half the time it seemed like something similar to a library, but also a casino. I'm not a person to go to a casino. I can't even tell you the last time I went to one. I've been to them, but yeah, that same sister I mentioned, I would go with her like once a year. I haven't been in a long while, but anyways, kind of rambling kind of video. But yeah, I was already thinking that I was wanting to start going to this library here more often. So maybe my dream was trying to remind me that I said that. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I had to go out to the store, and it's going to be dark, and I'm not going to have a visual effect that's going to be that great to cover it up, because I've tried this when it was in the dark and to put a visual effect, and it just made it worse. So we'll see what happens. I'll talk to y'all later. I did forget to mention something. I was told Adam before I left about the dream, and he said, well, yeah, that makes sense. That I'm the leader of the nerds. That's what I was telling him. I said the dream meant that it was about that I was the leader of the nerds. And he said, yeah, well, yeah, that's pretty much true. And I was sitting there thinking, should I be insulted by this or not? I knew not to be insulted, but then a little later I told him more about the dream, and like a few minutes later. And then he says, well, it makes sense because you went to school all those years. I'm like, that's true. It is true. I was a career student. I love learning. I love seeing something new to learn, but these days I'm not finding it. So that was my meaning, my reason, part of it, maybe not even part of it originally, of going to the library, at the college. Maybe look up some real facts, some honest facts. Anyway, enough.